So click on whatever. Tell it to view my channels. It says show number 21, part 2. You are online live. I don't know if you have to put a new. That says YouTube watch something something. I don't know how to tell. How do you tell the mother? Welcome back, everybody. Anybody who happens back across.
You can always text her.
Back on. Find. Fund. Yes, fund. Please. Find. Part 2. Welcome back, Internet. Oh, boy. So what had happened were, George said, make more short videos, and the internet and the universe accommodated. Instead of one long video, let's have 2 short ones. Or 2 long
Two
ones.
shorter ones.
Yeah.
2 shorter ones.
2 less long ones.
No, I just looking at the view your horse videos got, not just because they're horses, but they're also shorter.
Trying to deal
But
with the attention span. There's not much we can do about it.
yeah, well, I was fixing to say that's also better done when we get to the training videos, because those will be sort of kind of scripted and edited and things of that nature.
What had happened were, and this has happened once before this year or last. Screamed / howled. Windows updates.
Do you run home or professional?
I think it's on home on this laptop. And I've already discussed on previous streameries. October 8th, they promised me, we have obsoletoed you. You are Windows 11 updates, no mas. And I said, yay, because I hate Windows updates and I'm sick and tired of it. And then 2 months later, exactly, ish, they updated the subversion number. They subverted me. He said, from now on, you're going to get more Windows updates. Once upon a time, I don't remember if it was earlier this year or last year. There is no time in cyberspace. Windows, not because it has any available updated drivers or whatever. Because their layers, somewhere in their layers, probably still having to do with whatever a few months ago, something involving Windows and a third-party security vendor, and the whole world got shut down. So much has changed since then. Whatever the big thing was, Windows updates, outage, airlines, and world global 2024. I don't remember what it's called. New York Times, a global technology outage attributed to a glitch in an update by the cybersecurity firm CrowdStrike. The CrowdStrike outage a while back. All the nerds on planet Earth have been busy, 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 especially at Microsoft. If you heard that loud crackety, that was my jawbone. Mm. And it happened sometime, I guess it was after CrowdStrike. It destroyed my dentist friend's network. Automagic updates. And I don't remember before, after, or during. My Automagic Windows 11 updates that you can't avoid did this exact thing. It didn't update my drivers. It decided that there must be an update for some layer somewhere in the network layering that makes networks in a modern Windows computer. That until you restart your computer, not reboot, restart, power that thing off, let it sit a minute, and then power it back on. And then if it still doesn't work, just remove the device from Device Manager, meaning all of your networking, my wired and my Wi-Fi went wireless, there's a problem with this device. So after several computer restarts and re-shutdowns and re-power-ons, and it finished installing its Windows updates, circle, 30%, 40%, 100%, I removed both network devices from Device Manager, shut it back down, turn it back on, and then had to reconnect all my network stuff because when you remove the device, it forgets your passwords. For your safety. And so now we have part 2 of the stream. And poor Elizabeth is lost. She's probably still trying to figure out. So let me, because the chat will be dead. Where she typed a chat, copy link. Part 2. Go to part 1. Open link in new tab. Autoplay blocked. Very good. Like, reply. Part 2 is at blam. Reply. I know I didn't use the proper question mark SI equals blah 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 new form, newfangledy form. Better put a heart on that one. Like and heart. Ooh, it let me do both. Of course, right in the midst of me busy ranting about the good government and the politicians and how they're all corrupt and they reward each other. Yeah, we'll find out. If it does it again, then we know Microsoft is in cahoots with everybody on planet Earth, especially Josh Stein, the best governor North Carolina's ever gonna have. Anyway, his crony that has ruined concealed carry and concealed carry instruction in our state. Completely not their job description, not their anything else. And just my crazy man's conspiracy theory that the whole reason they would screw up the entire administrative process for it and make it impossible for the privates to do anything is because they hate G words and want them banned. Utterly inconvenient. Impossible. You will never be able to get yourself a permit to conceal carry. Am I just talking to myself, George? Am I still here? Are you still here?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Just checking. So now I'm going to go back to yesterday's. The main important part of previous whatever. Really, man, I was in a groove too. I was on a roll. Calling down the thunder. Very important part of that discussion. Any of you who want to, other than crawl on your belly, lick the shoes, lick your way all the way up that filthy, dribbly leg of a politician or their appointed and hired friends and neighbors and chillins, and lick wipe their butts after they poop in your mouth. Because that's what they do, our politician tyrants in America, at every level and political subdivision thereof. If you're not willing to do that, then shut up. All you revolutionaries, and we'll do this and we'll subterfuge and we'll cooperate with some secret sect of the Phoebe. You all, anybody who doesn't know, go look it up. To do some kind of weird thing against poor sweet dear Miss Governor Whitmer of Michigan. Anybody with you those thoughts, get out of my country. Take yourself back to Africa where they still have tribal warfare, or the Middle East, or I don't care where, but not here, and swim there. Prove your strengths. Otherwise, suffer in silence on your screaming into your own YouTube void that your computers and technology are going to shut off for you. Ish. Back to do not take anything I say as an excuse for stupid or other than me screaming into the void and encouraging everyone to scream into their recorded on the internet scream hole. A void is also a bottomless hole. Or write someone that it matters. I have written hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of PDFs and pages and everything else, and even though they don't hear it, I wrote it. It's been published. It's you could FOIA request it. Jaw was bad. Jaw is now worse. Thanks, Windows. Thanks, Microsoft. No stupid. I call sitting around with your sign protesting too much, wasting your time in life. And whoever you think you're protesting too much is laughing at you. I promise you. If they even acknowledge your existence. Silly bananas. Now back to the list. This is going to be complicated. I'm trying to figure out. Because it all ties together. Part of a conversation we had earlier. All these things tie together. We being just me and somebody. Still no response from Elizabeth. Oh well. See what you do to me, technology? You make frustrated illiterates out of us. That's why I titled it. Even when we're in a groove and we're getting along and we're discussing that even if it gets loud and passionate, it all comes down to, like we said earlier in the previous stream, it's really just a distinction without a difference. It's letterings. We will try to make sure that we being me, George, Elizabeth, anybody else. We will try to assure ourselves that we will help each other in a teamwork spirit. Never have anybody able to say to any one of us or all of us, because all for one and one for all. You guys ain't got no credibility. Your word is shite. If we have to get brotherly and sisterly at each other, talking about, hey, stop saying no, go back and listen to yesterday's hours. Man, talk about the density of things. I do remember that. We discussed yesterday the density of populations in certain places. Yesterday, many times. Go look. George says stuff, and I said, too fast. I said, for real or no? And then I typed exactly what he said in the Google bar. And Google bar said, huh.
That's how it goes sometimes.
Yeah, man.
Sometimes I'm right.
Or more correct. Or whatever because that's why I put the link in there and I used her, even though I already said in the other one, I'll say it again. ABBA is the theme song to some of the worst living nightmares. Absolute. I don't care if you people don't like it, get me banned. Hell on earth stuff that I've experienced in my life was sung to the tune of a lunatic who would not stop letting the auto magic player loop play ABBA music. It just is what it is. It activates me. Yet I'm grown up enough that I can say, go deal with it. Go look at it when it's the right thing. Because the reason I use that one, and that's where I got the thumbnail, sweet Miss Agnetha looking whatever she's looking out the window over the fruit and the flowers. Once upon a hen a million years ago. I don't know how she could be a million years old and 29 at the same time. You women are magical beings. All of you. Regardless of how you were born. You're a woman now. The point of it is, the winner takes it all. And the whole theory of that song is that zero-sum game of life, that to be right, someone else has to be wrong. No, we could be right and righter, or maybe our learneding was out of date. Both me and George today were convinced. What do we learn from this? From somebody saying a bunch of goofy stuff? That our learning was out of date. Once upon a time, even though if you go look at the UNC School of Governance and Law, you will see in their 2015 long post discussion of it, switchblades are illegal. You cannot have them in North Carolina. Well,
You couldn't carry them.
that might have been how it was in 2015. That is not how it is today. Should they take down their 2015 webpage? Heck no. That's history. That's how it was. We can go look it up. See? Me and George weren't crazy. UNC School of Governance and Law says so.
Yeah. It was illegal to carry. You could own them as a collector, but you could not carry them.
And well, now you
And
can
I had,
carry them. But you
yeah,
better daggone well open carry it.
I had to
Clearly
explain to
outside of pockets or whatever.
I had to explain to someone the difference between carrying and transporting. If you have it in a bag and you put it in your trunk because you went to a show that sold antique switchblades and you're adding it to your collection, you're transporting it. If you're carrying it, it's on your person. That's the legal definitions of the difference between carrying and transporting. I get so frustrated when I do stuff like that. You should already know. You're adult. You're older than I am.
Educating and edifying each other here. Not like the thumbnail and the theme song say that to be right or winner, the/a other must be wrong/loser. Which will circle me back to, yes, everybody that was anti-Trump that sits and says, how did we lose? We lost. Yep, you did. And as long as you think that happened on November 5th and 6th, you're wrong again. You were born a loser because you think like that. If I offend, too bad. It's just my opinion. In my humble opinion. In a video game. I read it in a fiction book. You were never in it at all. Lend your support. Go apply to the, well, it's closed now, but RFK Jr. had a webpage up. Send your letters. If all 72 million of you Democrats sign a petition that we need to have 3 of us on Elon Musk Doge committee, and we will work 80 hours a week and volunteer for free, Elon Musk will say, oh, man, okay. I promise you, Trump will be like, yeah, how's that going to look? Probably pretty good. They'll take you. But because you say, I lost, how am I going to survive 4 years? Well, what the heck would you have done had Kamala won? How does it truly affect you? Did she offer you a job? I somehow don't think so. Do some growing up. Or don't. You're allowed. You're allowed to have your words, and I'm allowed to have my goofy reaction content words about them. Computer frustrated me. Computer, Microsoft Windows. Because my one and only viewer chatter has not been able to figure out how to get on the part 2 streams. See what you did to me, you Windows. Even when I have something to say, I don't have anybody to listen to it. Thanks, Earth, the Fates. Do we have any viewers on this? One. Are you watching online, George?
Yes.
Okay. When
Otherwise, I couldn't see what you're doing when you're typing stuff.
Yeah, she was probably so intent on and trying to figure out now. Still no return of the one other viewer.
And
Sad
only
face.
other viewer.
Sad face. Re-speak the definition of world's most frustrated, inarticulate. And move on. Make some lemonade. 25. Back to the other stuff. The topics, the checklists, the politicians. The stuff we talked about this morning, we being me and the whispering winds. I got real good. I don't know when I cut out Good King George about ragging about these Democrats. They're rewarding and upmoting everybody and are supposed to be oversight that big batch of liars and filth, our state legislator. Well in the know. And they're the ones that doxed that poor lady. I'm not going to say her name again, and I'm not going to show it again. She might just be Marie Antoinette-ish, and when the Attorney General of the state says, hey, you have a law degree, will you just, without writing anything down, and don't record anything, because you could be held to that. But all these other idiots will do whatever you say, especially if you show them a little favoritism and make them think. Well, now instead of being a ghost in the machine, he's made her the head of the Department of Adult Corrections. It will be rewarded. Wrong and evil will be rewarded in this world. It is true. And it all kind of ties together. So we go back to yesterday's question George asked. Hypothetically, theoretically. Which goes back again to this morning's stuff, and let me find my notes. I had some notes yesterday. If you don't remember, George, you asked about, or the internet asked us about, should Alvin Bragg be investigated? And I said no, and you said yes. And that's all we just moved on. We left it alone. Earlier today, something else came up. I don't remember if I made, oh man, I've got her name up on the screen again. It's over there. The queen bee, not the queen of the queens of the bees yet. Maybe she'll run for governor in 4 or 8 years whenever Stein is done playing up there. Then I can call her queen of the bees, Madam Empress. Again, don't anybody get any ideas. It's at every level, every subdivision. Go study your town inspector's office. Wise men say, and it's the same thing. Somebody else brought something else. No, us individuals down here at the bottom. I keep making jokes, George. Every time I hear Alvin Bragg, I want to say, don't call him that. Call him Alvin Liberty.
I
It's a
understand.
it's a North Carolina joke. All the rest of you, get over it. It's more of everybody else, and all of us dogs, I guess, will run off at the dog whistles. Is more of them sitting up in their castles in the clouds watching. Let's watch the peasants eat each other. Oh, how busy they really are. Going after each other because they can't reach us. Aloft over their walls. True story. Everybody says Marie Antoinette said the garbage about the cakes. That was a political cartoon. She didn't say it. Someone drew a cartoon. What she really did say, well played by Kirsten Dunst in the daughter of the Godfather, or granddaughter of the original Godfather. Amazing, impeccable, super duper Sophia something, I think. Marie Antoinette, crazy movie. They got it in there. when the helper hands, all the advisors and the whatevers, and go study what women were upon Marie Antoinette's time, and this may offend anybody. Cover your ears, Saint Annie Nanny. She was very much girly like that because by the ripe old age of 12, she was traded in what we would call today human trafficking for sexual purposes in order to gain favor and combine empires or kingdoms. So all she had to be was born of a certain type of blood and a sheep, because on the other side of that emperor combining equation was a dude. So I can understand why Marie Antoinette was kind of Marie Antoinette-ish. Didn't stop her head from getting in a basket. She didn't say anything about cakes. Trying to get back on target so that I can stay on target. Went down the MA road. Uh, she didn't say build the wall, build the wall, build the wall, like our famous Marie Antoinette named Donald Trump. She said when all the emperor's men and all the emperor's horses came to her and said, "Ma'am, you're having opulence and parties and enjoying and throwing food off your balcony, and all the peasants are down there starving and rubbing their little distended peasant bellies because they can see you doing it." She said, "Over the wall that surrounds the castle. They can see you over the wall." She said, "Then build the wall higher so the peasants don't have to look at us and be jealous." And remember, she's a long time unalived. Yes, it was that. That's worse than non-sympathy, non-empathy. Because why? Because back then, the
It was good to be the
peasants,
king.
yeah, it was good to be the king. And the peasants were not people. It'd be just like if you looked over if your house peoples and your mini servants and the people that you were tossing those cream covered cakes off of their platters off the balcony. It'd be just like if you looked over your wall and they said, "Do you see all those rats out there? And those skinny puppies slobbering and clamoring because you throw away food frivolously and wastefully? Peasants, rats, or dogs?" You would say, well, either KIA them or build a wall so they don't have to see it. Poor things. Aw, does it hurt their feelings? Their little rodent feelings? Caught
Nothing more
red-handed.
than feelings.
Yep. Or caught red-handed showing feelings of almost human nature. This will not do. It's from Pink Floyd's The Wall. So how do I get off on the Marie Antoinette thing? The yesterday stuff. Them. So no, that's my theory on why. Nope. Alvin Bragg. Do I have to call him Liberty? I'm going to say that every time. You did it, world.
Unless they rechange the name again back to Bragg.
Yep, then we'll okay it. Then I might call him hyphenated. Alvin Bragg hyphen Liberty hyphen Bragg. Nay. Put those N, whatever the accent is, over an E, like his maiden name.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll call him that, and I'm sure I'm saying it wrong. And if he don't like it, guess what? He can get out of the public eye. We will never discuss him again. But he's just, I'm sure he thinks himself quite some kind of high up. I think him quite some kind of low down. He's got a bunch of crap he's got to do for his constituents, his politician bosses, the other guys that, won't write a thing down. If he don't do the dirt, do what they say, then they're going to kick him out of their club. And he's just trying to do his job and do what he's told. Earn a living, his little hungry guppies and all that stuff, just like all the rest of us. And he'll always have the same excuse, which is the same thing. Happened again yesterday. Somebody told me about a thing, either in writing or a phone call or both. That what's a poor boy to do, but, because if I don't do it, they would be required to take someone who's not a scumbag and pay them probably less to do it right the first time and with integrity. No. And if there is anybody up in the mile high clubs that even cares at all that any of this is happening, that all of us hundreds of millions of American imbecilics see the Federalist Papers. I'm just quoting the Raven. I miss my chatterbox. I hate you. For a minute, Microsoft. So if we burnt that witch at the stake or threw it in the pond, and if it drowns, it's not a witch, but if it doesn't drown, it is, so we're going to burn it at the stake. Whatever. Especially because he's tan. All the Marie Antoinettes that make up the rest of our society would titter for a moment. Well, it was something in the Twitterverse. So no. Unless something comes up other than he was just doing his job. Nope. No investigation. Don't waste anybody's time and money on it. Including, I don't know what you were asking about. He's popular for several things. If you were asking about, or if the Earth was asking about that recent USMC persecution slash prosecution, well, USMC should have known. Things can happen in this world where you sure as heck, if you can be construed to be white and male, stay the hell out of New York. What are you trying to do? Get convicted of something? That's common knowledge and common sense. What do we learn from this? Stay the hell out of New York. Why do you think I'm not there? That's why I fled from California. And the thing that came up yesterday is, once again, that's why yesterday's music was David Bowie's Heroes.
Excuse me for butting in.
Yeah.
But I'm fading fast, combination of lack of sleep and medication, so I'm going to call it here.
Well, good evening, sir, and thanks for hanging in even after you had walked away because of my internet went down.
I get it. Maybe a later time.
If you get rested and I'm still on here, hop back on.
I will.
You can go back and listen to it later. All right, man.
Bye.
Bye. GH out. Thanks, sir. Good night. Watch this, guys. Watch this, internet. I hope you're still listening, George. Or good night. Good night. I love the wordplay. If you don't see it on the screens, you won't know what I said. All right. Going all through it. Man, I went down Talia Shire. We went down to Police Whammon. The lovely, the amicable. The thing that came up yesterday. A private industry worker who receives a government pension, let's call it. And many times it offends me, and I say, you know how we could save money? Remove all government pensions. They get Social Security, no more disability unless they are physically disabled, especially when you drag this mental crap into it. Sorry, guys, but it's a volunteer military. If you can't figure out in the age of information that you might see some stuff, it's been a while since we had a quote, you want to be militaries in the future. War is realm of Hades quote. Tell me when it was invented. The quote. War is hell is attributed to American Civil War General Tecumseh Sherman. It is attributed to Tecumseh Sherman from a war in 1864. If war was hell in the is sense in 1864, do you honestly think 160 years has made it better with improved technology? No, we've just learned how to make better hamburger. And if you can't figure that out, and I'm sick of it because you guys get this stuff and it's supposed to be for the good of you and the blah, 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 and you're a bunch of welfare bums running around with your PTSDs. Drunk, drug addict bums. Because there's no us taxpayers. And it's your tough turd. You know how you couldn't have got hurt at war? Don't go in. It's an all volunteer military. But the problem I have with it is there's nobody teaching these militaries and we can't access, no matter how much. These people say, well, I got a base pay, so I'm going to go work illegal. Take a little cash money. I'll do this, I'll do that. And when you guys are out there doing it, because you can afford to, why do I do bad? Go back and see my other stuff about the politicians. Because there ain't no comeuppance to me. There ain't no real cost. It's immoral. It's disgusting. Because guess who doesn't get to do those jobs? Anybody who dares to try to go through this life without crapping all over their neighbors and calling them friend. Well, you're my friend, but I'm going to steal your job. I'm going to prostitute myself into your industry because they can slip me a little cash money under the table. Or, all right, somebody else brought something else up this morning. That's why we got talking about sweet switchblade knives. It's a Guns N' Roses lyric. It's supposed to be an older of us who also enjoys some amount of federal money every month because they spent some time in the military once upon a time. You know what? You people should get Social Security like the rest of us. Or go back and listen to me ranting in previous streams about you don't get it. So if you want to collect those federal checks, then get your ass back inside the gate or inside the wire and you can work civilian contractor jobs on post, but if you're going to take money and then try to integrate yourself with your horrifying welfare worker mentality, I get paid, doesn't affect my pay. That's not just the military, that's all government employees. You're all disgusting. But especially you military jugheads. Don't take your inside the wire stuff, bring it out here off the reservation. Learn to assimilate and be a good person, not a good soldier. Or get out of my country. Surrender. Congress, we need legislation that we can attach their wages, their federal retirement. If they screw us up, we can sue them civil and get that money. Make them pay for their wrongs. Talk about upsetting people. I'm sure I'm upsetting people right now. If anyone ever hears this, Microsoft might just be eating it again. Thanks, Microsoft. Sorry, making a note. Thinking. Because it's the same thing again and again and again. Isn't thinking. And it's all great for all of you. Well, that's why I was trying to tell George. It's the whole we could be heroes. Because when the a-hole illegal doesn't do anything right, boss says to the a-hole doesn't do anything right and often illegal things employee, hey man, if I throw a couple dollars at you in cash, you go make sure that you're standing there hot-bodied somewhere so that nobody else that does work honestly with some integrity and honor can have a job. Hell yeah, man. We're all just putting dirt on each other. And it just cycles. It just wraps around. Same old thing. Politicians, security guards, cops, everything in police is about getting dirt on each other so that if I go down, you're all going with me. Yep. How this all just loops and repeats. And only, this is another me saying, only wrong will be rewarded in this world. The professed call it this worldly system that we live, not live, live in. And then I'm not unique in saying, and then we will not take responsibility for it. We'll talk and walk away from the truth of the thing, which is what came up again today. If a guy is going to go carry against several laws in this state, my state, North Carolina, a concealed weapon of any kind in violation of several laws, including the law that regulates the industry they are working in, should we not, if we gain this knowledge, turn them into the regulatory body? Because why should the rest of us who won't, and don't worry about it, those companies would never hire the likes of me because I just want to go to work, follow all the laws, rules, and ordinances and everything else as long as they're written down. Clock in, get my monies. Clock out, go home, and get my paycheck on time. That's it. Doesn't matter how sophisticated you think your work is. When you're a criminal and you're immoral, and it's all that, well, I can outhouse lawyer my way around it, and I don't agree with that law, and blah, 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 that everybody's got a bunch of BS about how, if you think about it their way, you would see that, well, I don't call me an a-hole, an immoral cork-a-sucker. I know you don't, but you're an a-hole. You do nothing but steal from all of those around you, and you steal hope, and you won't take responsibility for it. I've told many, 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 many people in my life, you're going to be a criminal for that because you like to rub your pocket knifey up against your wiener. That's what really gets you. Rubbing on, having an object touch you, believers and talismans. That's just what it's all about. Or is it smoking in the boys' room? That's an Alice Cooper song. I can say it. It's just the I'm being bad thing. It's not really that bad. It's just a little bad. Which always goes back to, if we're going to be criminals, then let's all get together, admit it, be honest about it, and either go get ourselves a secret squirrel, tough guy contractor company with a big bear paw symbol, and know that we can't do that stuff here, but we can sure as heck do it in all these war-torn other places under contracts to the U.S. government, well paid. You know, shoot up the crowds, partake of the spoils of war. Because we're just private contractors, man. We're French foreign legionnaires. What do we know? I thought somebody said we could have all that stuff and do all that dirt. Until they did a little bit too much, and then there was a big lawsuit and a settlement. 2010/11. Even that has limits, but not if you're just honest about it. And what I always joke, and it's sort of a half joke. You want to lose your whole career, because in private security and whatever, George said it earlier, we work under a law. North Carolina law, number 74C, chapter. And if you commit any one of these things, you have ruined your justified self-defense. So there's that. You could get charged with a lot of crimes. Or they can sue you civilly, private security guard, and criminally. You broke the four big ones of justified self-defense using any force at all. So not only are you a small-minded goof, you're really going to be, you could be put out of your entire career, maybe even bankrupt that crooked, broken, unmanaged, stupid company you work for. Because if they don't know to tell you no in writing, not to break the law while they work for you, then either they're criminals just like you, or they're stupider / lower IQ than you. And still just as self-rewarding and self-justifying about, well, I know it's technically illegal, but, and we all have studied the deflection techniques, but means you don't know. And worse, it means you don't care. You go ahead and tell yourself that stuff. You better hope that your professed religion is untrue and wrong. We're going to spend a long time thinking about it. It all goes around and around. If you're going to be a criminal, then let's all get together and be criminals and get rich. We'll work it out with the so-called victims. We'll do the whole Bonnie and Clyde thing. We're here for the bank's money, not yours. Or Heat. In our fiction romance movie, I made a note, everybody. Anybody who ever happens across this, understand. Wish yourself into a cornfield before you do any of this stuff. The winner takes it all. In the song, the winner takes it all. Here's what she sings into my heart, mind, soul, spirit, and sparkly, esoteric, whatever you want to call it. I was a fool. I played by the rules. It never gets me anywhere. Except, I guess at the end of the days, I can say, well, I got my honor and I got my integrity. And no one's ever going to question it about me. Do you really want the likes of me to say, you know what? I agree with all 350 million of the rest of you. Screw the rules. Poetically, I mean. I would sit down and write a space opera to vent these impure thoughts. Then I would, of course, get rich and well rewarded, making a great space opera about a young lad and a young lady and another not quite as young man and their destinies and an old guy and some guy in a black tuna can. Funny breathing. Sounds like a good story. I should write a space opera. Get myself rich and then sell it to a giant mouse company and giggle while I count my billions. Well, the giant mouse company destroys it only to hurt the feelings of the little people. I can't come up with a better reason of why they would do that. Even if it really truly was, and here's more of the male patriarchy. Nobody will say it's just the world. It is what the world has become. That everybody's just too confused. Poor mouse giant company is only trying to figure out the heck does anybody want? Giving them all the innocence. Why the heck can only anybody squawk about that poor KK? She's named after OK in ancient texting speak. KK. Look it up. Figure it out yourself. It's a secret code. Why do we always have to pick on some woman? No witch. That's why. Ripple scum. It's a quote from the thing. Figure it out. But that's what's so true and fitting. Only the fools. I put somewhere else. Elvis mentioned. Fools rush in, and where angels fear to tread, fools rush in. Yeah, it's all good. I am a fool. I do rush in. And without other reward than self-preening pride, I guess. I get to say, yep, I play by the rules. And I know nobody else does. My mammy. I wish she would get back on my online. Thanks, Microsoft. Told me if everybody else jumps off a bridge, are you going to jump off the bridge too because they did? No. The answer is no. Just because all the rest of you want to sell your souls for some goofy, $15 an hour, or to carry a knife in your pocket where it's illegal. Don't mince your words. Double. It's a double violation of two laws. Zero one. And I don't know how to say it better. That's why I call myself the world's most frustrated inarticulate. Stop working off the clock. That is falsifying business records. That is cheating the tax system. If you'll take a little cash money for your travel time, instead of making your boss put you on the clock so that you can earn your overtime for your time properly and by the payroll, you are cheating the tax system because taxes, federal and state, are a percent of gross payroll. Go look at North Carolina's private protective security hellhole bureaucracy, because they have a paper that they, against the law, boards and commissions and committees and bureaucracies are going to do whatever the hell they feel like doing. But oh well. NC, PBSB. We will go there and we will look for documents and forms, training logs. The heck is an armed training exemption request? Go check on your government often. Oh, it's probably for cops and dot mills. I think we need to take all those away too. See a couple days stream ago about a fiction romance story about the certifying person would hand you your certificate for a little something something. Just saying. I'm looking for not that. Not the authority and release of information fingerprints. The other one. It's called an affidavit and public notice statement or public notice and affidavit statement. Used to be 2 pages. Still supposed to be, according to the administrative codes and the laws where those administrative codes came from. It says that you have reviewed the accuracy of this under penalty of such and blah de blah. And nobody cares. Don't worry about it. Nobody cares. There's one thing America's got. Contagious, I don't give a F-itis. It says, further, I hereby attest that I have read and understand the public notice statement under Employee Fair Classification Act below. That's a whole different law. Has nothing to do with security. And every one of you that signs this attestation, did you even read what you signed, or did you just know you got told? If you don't sign this, you can't get registered, you can't work. So you sign it. Well, here I am reading it for you, just in case you have dyslexia or dumblexia. Further, I hereby attest that I have read and understand the public notice statement under Employee Fair Classification Act below, and that if I have ever been investigated for employee misclassification, I have included the results of the investigation with this registration application in accordance with NC General Statute paragraph, lawyer paragraph style 143-789. And then it tells you to go see the definition at 786. It behooves you, people whose law that governs you at number A in the law says that you will detect and prevent crime, which is law breaking. It kind of behooves you, silly kids, to go pay attention to these laws that you attested to. All this public notice statement under Employee Fair Classification Act. It didn't come back. This is a new live stream video. I tried to send you information and links, but welcome back. I've been sitting here lonely. George had to go. Now I'm badgering people for being nickel bag junk dealers, for being petty, stupid criminals. What a Fair Classification Act is because so many of you will take some cash and try to duck the taxes. If either the Internal Revenue Service or the North Carolina Department of Revenue Service catch winds of you and finds out that you did things like took a little money, cash money, or worked with your boss to set aside a different corporate entity to cover the next hours so that you don't ever earn overtime. You will get reclassified as either your own business. Now you got to come up with some stuff because now you're responsible for all of it. And the boss is going to say, oh, we never knew. You will get classified as an employee yourself, and you will have to pay all those past due employment taxes, penalties, and everything else. And you could, says so right here. Employee misclassification is defined in General Statute 143.786.5 as avoiding tax liabilities and other obligations imposed by Chapters 95, 96, 97, 105, or 143 of the General Statutes. Whether you said the words or not, I hear all of you again. I used to say when I was a kid, jailhouse lawyers. When I grew up, I said, no, jailhouse lawyers aren't this bad. These are just people that are outhouse lawyers, but I say it in my native Injun tongue, SHIT house lawyers. Because I hear all of you right now saying, well, I never used such phrases either way. The government don't care, smarty pants. So, do I agree? Do we have to have laws like this? Apparently so. Because I think if I know 500 working law enforcers and security guards whose whole job is to detect and prevent crime, 499 and a half of them violate all of these chapter laws, that's crime. And then this page wasn't designed for the asinine North Carolina Private Protective Services Board. It was designed for anybody trying to get any kind of thing, and for our cops who all moonlight, because cops always kind of claim that they just don't make enough. Civil servants are so underappreciated, underrewarded, and all this nonsense that they all moonlight. And it doesn't take any kind of licensing or registration to have a business anywhere in this country. Got some money? Open a business. You saw my business school thing the other day. If you didn't, let me tell you again. Here we go back to Dean Business School. 101. On to nickel bag dealers face the same penalties as the guys that own countries. See, cartels. Breaking the law, breaking the law. See this all? It was in the previous stream where I was ranting about just the same thing, but everything old is new again. Breaking the law, petty criminal BS. And small minds. And then, I hate to do this, you just got here. Welcome back. But I'm going to have to put my little lady up on the screen. That's how I identify her. Well, maybe not. Maybe I'll have to say BRB. Got the P. I am back. Wow. I was on a roll. You'll have to someday go back and watch both parts. There's 2 parts to this video. Because my internet went out on me. Turned out it was just my Microsoft. Said, take a break. Union bells ringing. Which all loops back to the winner takes it all. Especially when we're all so busy down here trying to steal each other's debt-funded Fruit Loop. Not a sponsor. Not. I don't eat them anymore. I ate them when I was a child. I shouldn't say that. Say something healthy. We're all down here at the bottom trying to steal each other's debt-funded apple from each other. Or at least bite it and slobber on it. Well, you can eat the apple, but you gotta eat my spit too. That's just how we do. It's not unique. We're all so much smarter. Somebody again told me today the same old nonsense. Well, what if I don't like the law? What if I don't think the law is right? Then go get yourself 25 gazillion trillion dollars worth of attorneys and take your crap all the way to the Supreme Court. If you don't like it, get out of America. There's a lot of wild, wild west rebirthing itself all around this planet. Take your big tough guy with your pocket knife arse over to Haiti. They're looking for a king. There's only one way you're getting there. See the title of today's two videos? The winner does take it all. How tough are you, tough guy, in America? Lawbreaker, criminal, gangster? Get over there. In that southern edge of Kenya, I believe it's the northwestern edge of Somalia, and go teach them 12-year-old little punks known as Boko Haram how tough guys really are. Show to me Somalia on a map. Just, oh man, they touch Ethiopia. If you don't want to abide by U.S. and North Carolina laws, especially if you're going to hold yourself out as to being in the security industry, drag your super smart tail over there to Somalia and you just be a criminal. You ain't gonna last very long, I promise you. Or I hope you get hemmed up without hurting any more innocents than you already hurt by stealing their damn debt-funded apples. Meaning stealing the work from anybody who's dumb enough to be honest, have integrity, and follow all of these MFing stupid laws, rules, ordinances, and everything else that we're all supposed to live by because you deem them unnecessary for you. You're a thief, you're a filth, and you're a liar, and you're obviously not a smart one because all the smart scumbag, filth, thief, liar, probably SXAX woolly attracted to less than 10-year-olds and act on it. Whatever. Nothing else. If you were smart, you would have run a campaign. Not to win the office. That involves a whole new level of scumbaggery and villainy that is being in public office. Just for go listen to part of the previous half of this two-part series. Because the money's in the campaigns and all the little old ladies are going to give one side or the other their money. Or the little young ladies. The goof whose true religion is this American political system. They're going to give up millions of those dollars to anybody crooked enough to steal it from them and make them promises that are just lies and they know it. And you just have to say, but that was a campaign promise. I didn't know I couldn't do those things in office. Because to find out what you can do and can't do in office, you have to get in office. And then rag on Nancy Pelosi because she said, well, if you want us to read a law, we have to pass it first. Every one of you, all of you, say the same old crap and justify yourself. And then you hate. And because you can't hate on the cloud dwellers, and they don't care if you do, why do you suppose Bernie Sanders says, I don't care what you call me? Because sticks and stones will break his bones, but you ain't emptying any of his bank account. That's why. And you better pip pip and cheerio and be careful what you call him. Donald J. Have you not learned yet that you F around with the career professional politicians that they'll, if they ain't already got a law that they can twist and call a new term I've invented? We used to have CDOs. I'm probably wrong in what it stands for. Derivative finance. Derivative. I don't know how to spell anything. Finance, CDO. Collateralized debt obligation. It's a derivative finance terminology that got real popular about '08, '09, '10. It didn't stop them and make them go away. It is a complex financial product that is a type of derivative security and is used in derivative finance. See how many times in one sentence they can use derivative? 3 times. So there I was thinking very recently, because of the 34 felonies against Mr. Trump, if they don't have them already, they're going to do some law. It's not lawfare, it's lawcraft. That's what lawyers do, witchcraft. And it's only in words. They don't even have to like smell the stink of a boiling newt and a eye of frog. I came up with CJO. This is a me thing. Or a CLO. But I don't want to use that because that's the initials of, as much as I trash talk them, there are lawyers that I consider good acquaintances or friends, and that's the acronym or initials of their law office. So I was trying to figure out, let's have CJOs or CLOs, which is a collateralized justice obligation. They're going to cook up some crap and put it on you. Not even the appearance of impropriety, all right? Get above reproach. How do I know that those down here at the bottom are just going to eat each other, as we say, and hurt each other? See Madison, Wisconsin yesterday, and then late last night, we scrolled it onto the screen, or early this morning, I don't know. There was another. How do I know that we, meaning not the, I give all of you credit for obviously being smarter or more technically sophisticated than myself. Because you guys don't have any morals or scruples holding you back from getting your little ducats. And I'm too stupid to give up whatever my idea of, man, you shouldn't get it by any means necessary. Take it. How do I know that we will and can only hurt each other down here in the bottom level? C. Giffords. If I'm misspelling your name, Giffords, I apologize. Giffords stuff. Bloomberg has all of their stuff. Bloomberg, I don't know how to spell Bloomberg. All the anti-G words, outfits. None of them, and you guys, Please, plus. Do they consider it because there were 4 or more victims? Was Butler, Pennsylvania, acknowledged by all of the super left anti G word people, or because he got bee stung on his ear and he might be considered victim of it himself? We're just not going to talk about that one like we don't talk about the San Diego one that I brought up yesterday. What's up with that? I'm not going to search it. I don't want to know. I'm going to believe that they, in spite of themselves and their what I would call needs, mental, emotional, spiritual counseling, assistance, and re education, absolute nuttery. The kids these days call it TDS. Would they really allow their wings and involvement in TDS to not discuss that mass shooting event with multiple victims, one fatal? The others may live well and long wishing it had been fatal. There are fates worse than the D word. Survivor's guilt is a thing. Anyway, all that. Go see how many can you name, and it ain't just the G words, but I'm talking about the G word. How many politicians have been hurt into G word violence? And how many of us bottom feeders, filthy peasant people, have been hurt and KIA'd? Number one, we're afraid to get anywhere near them. And number two, we get this stuff piled up in us and we don't feel like we have a release, and we get frustrated in our inability to say anything to anybody, and then we get cancel cultured for saying it or called names. And we perceive these injustices like people who really don't need to cheat and defy and defile someone else's jobs will happily go work under the table for the a-hole boss, so that the poor single mother woman trying to earn some living and raise her kids can't have no overtime. They got stuck at the firefighter that was KIA'd and the 2 other men shot, as well as the shooter KIA'd. I'm sure because it's a hard rule classification. It's a good tangent for me to get off, because just spinning around, and that's just the world goes around, and some days it turns around faster than other days. In the last less than 24 hours, I have listened to a world more of this security guards and cops are just liars, cheaters, lawbreakers, super sophisticated, and all for $15 to $25 an hour max. Again and again and again and again. Oh, 1. 30. Stopping the scream into the void. about the same old crud. Let's circle back to that. Circle back to DW doesn't want to obey traffic. That's for later. I had to make myself a note for later. And now at 01:30, we're going to ask the Google bar, who on earth calls Butler PA a math pew-pewing? I would hope. I would think. I would, especially now that he's the boss again next month. They might have had to go clean up some publications. Does the FBI call Butler PA assassination attempt a mass shooting? FBI remarks. On July 29th, 2024. This is straight from FBI.gov. Let's find out. Remarks by FBI Pittsburgh Special Agent in Charge Kevin Rojek at press briefing on the investigation of Butler, Pennsylvania assassination attempt. Thank you, Deputy Director. Let's just search for the word. Bam. MASS. Our investigation has revealed he also made searches into related. Nope. That's the one occurrence. So the special agent in charge did not bother to make clear. It is under FBI rules. It used to be 4 or more victims. And that doesn't mean DOAs. That means casualties or injureds, even if they were not injured by the projectiles out of the G words. You see, this is a giant stand-up thing. I noticed. Even my woman noticed. And I said the other day I wasn't going to look up what became of Gabby Gifford's bad guy. I really don't want to know. I hope he got the ultimate penalty for it, or repented his wicked ways, or whatever. Had his tumor removed. You see, it's called a massive crowd. The crowd that the guy in India was speaking to, not the Trump crowd. I would call a massive crowd. 3 or 4 people's a massive crowd to me. I'm very people phobic and super crowdophobic. The assassination attempt, the Wikipedia says. Yeah, I know. All you smarty pantses, go ahead. If it's good enough for Destiny, it's good enough for me. If you don't like what me going to the wiki, then you guys go fix the wiki. Make it unimpeachable. There's nothing in this world that can make all of you say, wiki sucks. You can't use the wiki as a... then go get rid of it. Make us a better wiki. On July 13th. What was I looking for? Mass. Mass. Not Masad Ayub. The other mass. If you're really interested in G-word books or G-word instruction books or law enforcement, military, or anything else books, I have to make myself another note. Or Mammy, remind me later. Ayub. 1986, I think. 1986 was a big year for me. The attempt fits some definitions of a mass shooting, but it is unclear if this was intentional on bad guy's part. I'm not going to say his name either. I already highlighted it on the screen. See, everyone's going to go around word mincing only because this involves Trump. Nobody cares what the intention is. That's not required. Under the FBI definition, if anybody gets hurt, like happened in Las Vegas, 8 times as many people went to hospital went to the hospital with injuries that bad from being stampeded or smashed against something by other scared people. Bad guys do bad guy stuff to cause the panic because they know you get 8-to-1 results. And no one has ever said how many people that had injuries in Las Vegas that they could attribute in any possible way to projectiles having been launched out of a firearm were hit or hurt by police projectiles. That is not ever been asked. So, and a very high up in the North Carolina Department of Justice, when I brought up the same thing, we need to know. Hits me with this whole cop shop talk that we always attributed all to the bad guy. Well, I know what you do so that you can sleep with yourself at night with only 24 brewskis in you, bruh. But in the real world, if you deal with it realistically, then you accept the fact that ain't nobody gonna charge any cop. No one's gonna get to sue anybody except the city was probably worried about. Oh no, we could get sued for that. Okay. If you listen to the audio from the shooting, they were 3 shots, a short pause, then 5 shots, then 1 shot, which was later identified as 2 shots. A Butler police officer shot and the sharpshooter. Kennedy asked, was the shooter hit? If you look at the police body camera or the sharpshooter snapshot, a piece of the G word is missing. I saw this on C-SPAN. But this is again the Congress putting on their slideshows of however they put their slideshows. You look at the picture of that dude. Don't just look at his noggin. His noggin is well popped. Those Secret Service and other government snipers, and I've done a lot of training with, not for, a guy that I go to when I need updates or other than Chad T9LL only. A guy I go to because he is obsessed, including the ability to teach others when I need or feel I need some fresh, new, revisionist, different way to look at stuff. He, under a contract, may or may not do a lot of especially that kind of stuff, the G words with the United States Secret Service. Whether it's presidential details or not, none of us is ever going to say, and this is all in fiction anyhow. But we get to sit with them and play with those big, expensive government G words and test them for ballistic whatever. Anyway, I know KNOW, not having an idea or information or seen a movie. And we used to, with a veteran, because a real good friend of mine is a veterinarian, anytime somebody's animal turned up croaked or the veterinarian had to put it down, if they were willing, the owner of the critter, to let us do, let's say, some ballistic testing on a cadaver of a animal, she would let us know, us, the local SWAT team, 2 local SWAT team guys. Well, yes, and lots of cops, lots of security, lots of hunters, other kinds of things. Hunting ammunition is daggone expensive. If those guys get a chance to test what it does on real meat and bone, they will certainly go do it. But we have done much of that. If you go look at, so I know the effects. You go study one of the overhead shots or somebody standing up on their tippy toes taking a picture of bad guy down upon that roof. Look past the mess that is his noggin and look at that right shoulder. Holy cow. It's another one that might have got me in trouble. I'm seeing down on the screen. Sorry, I had to mute the microphone a second. I had a coughing fit. Okay. And then this. Hey, James Densely. You're dense. I don't like you. I don't know who you are. But you obviously. This was only about KIing Trump. How do you know, sir? How do you know bad guy wasn't trying to get a shot at that firefighter and mission accomplished? Don't say things so expertly and definitively and authoritatively. Where in any of these investigations has motive been ascertained? This is why you probably shouldn't look at the wiki. It'll piss you off because anybody can put their BS thoughts up there on the wiki and try to claim that. How do you know this? And why? If it was about one of the others. He was not firing in control bursts. He was not. Here's my opinion. I live in this mess. He didn't empty the magazine on fully automatic. Because the G word doesn't do fully automatic. It's not an FFL tax stamp gun, jerk off. I mean, Javed. Domestic terrorism expert. Somebody go get these people on the horn. Because I'm sure not logging back into ever. My wiki is crap. They just let anyone say anything. This is my own bad joke. I've probably mentioned it before. Yeah. I will mention it many times in my life. Putting real world stuff up there with many link sites, verifiable sources, all the others, pictures, court cases, in the courts, still from back then, from LexisNexis, not a sponsor, not an endorsement. That's who you had to get your legal papers from and pay a lot of monthly fees for it. No matter what you seem to put circa 08, 9, 10, a few minutes ago on the Wikipedia, when you went back to the edits 1 minute later, your edits would all be re-deleted, gone. Nothing you put anywhere on. And the reason, or the talk page, or the notes page, would be probably a 12-year-old in his grandmother's basement. And it would say, crap, or that's crap, or what a bunch of crap. Where I decided somewhere back in the 8, 9, 10 era that if that's the only excuse they got to give to delete your work, then I'm not contributing to the wiki, and I'm never going to give them any more money. And I sent them all nice letter, nice email. Dear Wikipedia, well, I need a way to report your so-called editors that I could understand if they took it down and said, we checked this ourselves, and here we have this other information where that may have been misreported once upon a time, so we would like to reword it carefully. But when it just says crap or that's crap, if you're going to allow that, you're not going to get adults to get up there and make your wiki better. Real-time press camera coverage was given to Congress until it was released by the local police, but it was on real-time press camera. Yep. The thing about, I don't believe for a minute any of all the experts that twist this around, and this is why all the investigators and the report from Butler, I just had it up on screen the other day. Number one, they made good time. Number two, they rushed. And that's what happens. It's very important to the collective public that they conclude and conduct that investigation timely in front of the election, that one of the candidates of the upcoming election was hurt. But they were not open to questions. It's another one. Could this have got me kick banned all by its lonesome self? Yes. For me saying the early talking heads who were involved in putting together that report, the independent report, investigation/report, seemed to me like they didn't know their A from a hole in the gray. It's an old radio phonograph record, supposedly comedy thing that we would always hear in Los Angeles County on the Dr. Demento show. A 20-year-old, 80-pound person. I mean, he might have been as big as 110 pounds. I don't know. He was not a big guy. He's a stick guy like me. Not well experienced and versed and trained and taught and everything else. Why, I think he got 3 shots off. And then that seemed like a mighty long pause to me. And when I went and I did my vivisection of that carefully on my other social media, and it's doing that kind of thing on that one, like counting the GS sounds, and the pause in between, and saying, bad guy probably holding the gun upright and not holding it properly with his elbows down on that roof caused failure to eject, not failure to extract, and had to clear a stovepipe or tip the gun the other way. Sorry, G word. And then rechamber it or rack it, the action. That would cause the pause. Or he got busy looking back behind him for where was that cop that had bobbed up on the roof that he pointed the G word at. He had a divided attention. He was not so good and so everything or so whatever. And then why the pause again after 4 or 5 or 6 shots more before the team took theirs and stopped that guy's madness. He may have jammed the machine up again. Because why only 8? Even if you had the California magazines, those hold 10. Why did he pause after 3 and why did he pause after 8? We'll never know. What we know is that he never got busy again. In all the pictures I could see, the cops had already put their hands, cops, Secret Service, lots of other people were up on that roof in mere seconds. And by the time anybody got any pictures or videos or anything else about that, several copperoonies, let's just call them, agents, police's officers, had assured themselves that the weapon was clear. They didn't leave it. They should all be charged with tampering with evidence. Because without it being in whatever state it was in, when dude's noggin got stopped. Sorry, his family. I'm very gallows humory and war jaded, combat jaded. I don't know the right words. I agree with you about the shoulder. It was noted by the coroner and sent in a formal report to the Congress. Maybe that hit the gun itself, shattered, and some of the shrapnel hit his shoulder. The local officer with the body cam was standing on the shoulder of another officer, pushed up over the edge of the roof, and no, he never got up over the roof and fired. He got a little panicky and fell down and never went back up. And I understand all of it. I think we discussed it on one of the streams. I don't remember if you were there or not. Hindsight being 2020, and what do we learn from this? And I've discussed it many times with cops and security people and agents. You have to be in private security to do some bodyguarding for certain high ups in government in our state. They aren't provided any form of security. Don't any of you get any ideas about the state of North Carolina. They have the Capitol Police, and there is plenty of budget for their own security using private people. Including they will sometimes, not often enough to make me steady in income, consult with the likes of me about what can we learn from Butler? What's important to learn? Because if there hadn't been another cop there, there's no chance. You know, it's all, and I ask it, and I ask it often, and I ask it on the other social media. It's another thing. Oh my gosh, you could be promoting violence. No, you could be asking, hey cops, please think about this. What if you had seen the guy from an angle not boosted up by your buddy. Because all the tough guys around me, their only single answer is, well, number one, I'd have never slipped off that roof. You ain't never had a rifle pointed at you. Don't tell me what you would or wouldn't have done until you've had it happen to you. So, okay, what if you got off that roof for whatever reason? What if your partner cop was not in very good condition? What if he was in standard police condition and he got a little wobbly and dropped you? You ain't gonna jump up there and empty that G word of yours, cop G word, over that roof. That would make you just as much a threat to the crowd and your future president as the kid up on the roof. You can't just go tossing bullets around everywhere. So how do you do it? How do you sound the alarm? The communications don't work. How do you know? Because we're cops, and those are Secret Service, and then there's state cops, and there's everybody, because we refuse to communicate. Go read the Uvalde and the Butler report. And go listen to my stream yesterday. Holy cow. They learned something in Madison. Those were some communicating first responders at every level. Good job. They learned from other people's mistakes. What would you do, security, police officer? What would you do to make sure that the crowd and everybody else? How are you going to communicate? Bad guy with a gun. Fire some shots off into the ground. That's it. And see, I dared to say that on the face space, so. Oh, you said fire a G word. And I was unapologetic about it. I said, I'm not going to say the G word. I'm going to say what I mean what I say. Because had he, what would the kid, you see, if now we have to play what ifery. What if misguided child on the roof all of a sudden heard gunfire behind him? Would that distract him? Would that do something different? It sure as heck, because it's the sound from the one of my favoriteest movies, Denzel, he fine, cutie pie little girl, El Cantante, can't remember his name right now, Man on Fire. He's trying to teach her to stop doing human startle response to the sound of the G-shot, because they use a starter pistol at her swimming meets or her swimming races, whatever they call them. So he's clacking these bricks together or yelling. And he said, in the original cut, it said, I apologize. If I have to offload this later and bleep it out, I will. I'll figure it out. But I'm quoting the movie. The original cut said, the gunshot will set you free. And on fire, and the book did. The book had different stuff. It was written by and about real world stuff from a guy that I took some clinics or classes from. Amazing stuff about the corruption in Mexico. Go look it up. What book Man on Fire is based on? Quote, the sound of the gunshot. Well, he's trying to teach her how to move. She says, the G shot holds no fear. And he says, you welcome the sound. In fact, it's the sound that sets you free. You are a prisoner on this block until that sound sets you free. And then as this continues, and they have a musical montage, It says, say it. The G shot holds no fear. Say it. And she says, the G shot holds no fear. It's a good thing. It's a good, getting into the mindset. Even if you only live in the movies, like you never live real world, like me, whatever. Too many people on planet Earth who are not acclimated to it, especially when you're dealing in a serious environment like little Punk was. What would have happened if the G shot sound had been coming behind little Punk? Could it have prevented anyone down there from being hurt, harmed, or unalived? We don't know. It's not proper. But had an alarm been sounded earlier, could things have been different? Would things have been different? Probably yes. And I haven't seen interviews. They had little snippets and little pieces, and they had some transcription work from the officer that did peek over that roof for a second until dude turned the guy was headed following his G word up the roof. Not because he's trained in the special forces of 20-year-old nerds to follow your G word around the corners and through life. Because that's how they do it in the video games. You push it in front of you. And that's how they do it in the movies. So the police officer got boosted up, had a very piss poor purchase, fingertips only, I understand, on a metal roof, and a wobbly cop holding them up in the air. I haven't seen pictures of them. I imagine why did one have to be the guy that held his hands together and tried to lift the other one up? Probably he's a standard cop. Weighs in at 327 pounds. Sorry, cops, if I offend you. I guess. You did it to yourselves. So, yep. Bad guy. Not bad guy yet. Just extremely suspicious and very imminent threat guy. He had whatever. He stopped, turned himself about a quarter turn, and turned that G-word rifle of his almost 180 degrees to point it at that police officer's little face, and it made me giggle. All I could think of in my mind, and I might have wrote this on my other, I apologize, Facebook. Can I have it? Can I just have a backup? Because I do remember writing. It's my fault. I have brain damage. All I could think was, I'm glad I'm not Kilroy Cop. With my nose and my little fingers over that roof, and some guy turned around and pointed the rifle at me. And whatever, the guy down below, honestly wouldn't remember how did I get down from that roof? Did I fall down and pee-pee my pants? No, I'm going to claim my partner dropped me. Images, I think it was a World War II thing. I don't remember. Might have been something else. I just might be repeating misinformation. But if your nose was hanging over, this is what I imagine. That poor cop peeking over that roof. If you've never looked at the business end of a AR style rifle, don't, or make sure you look at it on the internet and zoom it up. But that was real world, and police don't get trained. Well, let's go to the academy and clear these things, and We'll all stand around and point them at each other. No, it violates the rules. We're not. You don't break the rules, even no matter how many times you clear it, put the little plastic flag in it, nothing else. You don't play those games. You'll become complacent, especially police officers will. So the first time you ever get one of those shoved in your face or pointed at you, how are you going to react? I don't know. Probably about like that officer did. And he tried. He got on the radio, he got on the phone, they tried to do something. And no one had ever said, hey man, make the big noise. Go see the movie. And now let's discuss. How can you apply that to the real world? You've got to get the attention of everybody. And could it be good? Yes, maybe you would have distracted bad guy for a second. Could it have been turned? See, it always goes back to the songs, Mammy. And you say it a lot too. Might have been, was that the name of one of your stories or books? Oh 06. 14. If Officer Kilroy had made the big noise to alert everyone. Bang, bang sounds an awful lot like danger, danger. Bang, bang equals danger, danger. Because we're what ifing. Could that have been good? Yes, maybe. It only took the one guy 1.5 seconds from when the sound crossed, and the sound travels a lot slower than those projectiles. When the sound got to the agent, it took him 1.5 seconds to get the protectee smashed on the ground and his whole body over the top of him. 1.5 seconds. How many of you move that fast to secure your peoples? Not many. So could it have been good? Maybe. Moved the agents faster, got them closer to their person. Could it be bad? Could there, if yin agents move faster to protect T and bad guy may hesitate, wondering if sound is related to incoming. If yang, the yin and the yang, and the yin and the yang are whatever, could it have panic stampeded a 12,000 through 15,000 person crowd? Yes to both. Yes to all three. How many people could have unalived or hospitalized, critical condition and others, in a stampede out of a crowd that size? I don't know. Let's ask how big was the concert crowd at the Sphere in Las Vegas? 18,600 people. So, yep. Could 1,000 plus people have been injured enough to go to hospital and many, many people die if 12 to 15 got spooked? It really is the many, many, and I don't know what else to call it. Somebody better secular than me, let me know someday. What do you call it? I call it And I'm amazed. I'm happy. And he seems to have come up with it, some of it himself. I'm going to move off of Butler, Pennsylvania in just a second. What is the okay, secular, safe word for miracle? In today speak, I'm honestly asking. Because to me, at least 50. That's FIFTY, not 15. 50 miracles happened that day in Butler, PA. And it's another one that I guess I would really have to spend some time explaining myself. And here's my shameful rotten. I have branded and allowed myself the excuse. Hori comparatori. If I said it wrong, I truly, I'm hoping Corey is correct. I didn't call him the firefighter. You have to be understanding of me, please. When I say miracles happen, good and bad ones, is him ending, being ended, is a bad miracle. But it's the yin yang thing. If not him, his wife and or child. Even though wife and her child are adults, it's still his child. Ask anybody, ask any parent. When do your children stop being your babies? Never. That's my child. Why do you think he jumped up and covered them up? Faster, it seems, than the Secret Service paid professionals jumped up and covered their guy up. Because he's a good guy. It's a good miracle, or several. Everybody that didn't get hurt, and I don't know how many hit him, how many of those rounds stopped with him. I don't know. The report doesn't say. My chat is chatting. Thank you, Elizabeth. I'm going to look because it might contain the information. A bad miracle in one way, but he saved his child and wife. Yeah, that's what I just said. Right. Not remembering he had nothing to step back onto. Yep. There are many miracles. Another one that some of the news people who have had experience. I saw a long interview with one of other news people were interviewing news people that had been inside the bad area. And I saw one fine young lady being interviewed by one fine young gentleman, a local station, a local Pennsylvania station, and they were just filling some time. And he started to say something about it, and then she said in more detail. And I don't understand. And everybody tried to figure out what went on, and they've interviewed a lot of the people in the crowd, and people were like, "What the heck? We didn't know anything was going on." The crowd did not panic. The crowds, I should put plural. There's a lot of miracles in that. The point of tourism primary is to cause great harm, but it's to take advantage of the mindless panic. Go search mall panic in your Google bar. You're going to find out that for whatever reason, and especially, and they're going away, they're fading away. At old malls or modern shopping centers in America, people will stampede to unalive their own children. Go study that Las Vegas thing. I believe it is an instinct. I can still feel that car sliding down my G-link after someone left the door unlocked, and you, not even two, had walked out of the house and across the street. I ran out. Yep. But the crowds didn't, and by crowds plural, I'm clarifying that they were segmented and sectioned off. There were several sets of bleachers kind of looking things, and there were several sections and layers, or I don't know what you call them, perimeter areas. There was a lot of people that day, and a lot of people. They didn't get down and take a knee like they had some kind of training for that event to happen that day. That would be strange. And a few of them, when everybody else was just kind of staying put and in place, and maybe like the news people, the news lady that I watched the interview of, she got told by police or Secret Service, get down, get down, get down. So she went and got down in between some large speakers and stage foundations or panels. Mm. She said, well, she was down there in her little interview section, and she was kind of upset and winded, and she felt really bad for the Corey. And she felt bad for her. She said, I'm there to cover the guy. I don't like him, and I don't vote for him, but she likes people. There's no reason anybody should hurt Donald Trump. I'm like, yay, girl, you said the thing. Fine young woman. No, nobody out there on planet Earth. Get it through your noggins. He's just our figurehead. If you hurt him, we're gonna demand vengeance. And then we'll have a Marine former in charge of the button. So you guys leave our guy alone. Domestic, foreign, and domestic. But she said what was very surreal to her is there was no screaming, no yelling. She'd been at other events as a media person or a news person. And she said it just seemed so surreal. Everybody was just standing there. There was no noise. And then the way she had ducked down, she couldn't see Mr. Trump anymore. So she didn't know that then all of a sudden the crowd made some noise. She didn't know that he'd got up and did a fist pump in the air and said, fight, fight, fight. And the crowd got a little loud, but they still remained utterly calm. And nobody, she said it was so surreal. I say, that's a lot of miracles to happen. Nobody got panicky and flighty. And Elizabeth, you'll understand this. The rest of the world will understand it. Rolled their eyes up in their head and ran off. It's what horses do when they're scared. I apologize. I got scratchy throated again. There I was trying to figure out what happened to my BRB girl. Skirty, where are you? I restarted this computer several times. That's where she are. O2. 21. BRB. Again, now I really need to go get something. I'm gonna cover up the bowl maker. And the chest. Yeah. 8:00 p.m. Eastern. My throat got all choky, scratchy again. All right, once I get back, I'll read those chats. I must get beverage. Be right back. I am back. In the first half of the stream, I keep calling it stream, in the first half of the live, and I saw somebody else last night. Oh, I closed her. I meant to minimize. I can find her again. The winner takes it all. Other questions I have, I guess, because I let them go without backup. And I said I was going to catch up on those chats, but it was on my mind while I was walking around. And maybe you know, Elizabeth, anybody else listening, jump in the chat and answer this if you know. And it was also many important things, even though I always tried to play it off, and I would bury it in a comment or a reply to my own comment. It's always hashtag too soon. I can't imagine a time that I would ever sit and look any of his family in the eyeballs and ask them. But we're supposed to have all these objective and non-passionate and non-emotional independent inspectors. Inquiring minds want to know, was poor Corey done in the first 3 shots or the second volley? I had just come in and turned on the remote when that pew pew happened. I do not like events due to panic situations. It was very eerie almost. And the shoes. I heard in the C-SPAN covered hearings that the agents thought he had been injured enough to take out in a stretcher, so someone had removed his shoes. He stood up and started to walk and realized, where are my shoes? It was almost dear as the agents tried to get him going without his shoes. Yep. And you never know what's going to happen in super high stress like that. And he got kind of weirdly obsessed about his shoes, but you honestly will never know. And that's what the little in height, little. But in my weird guy's world, not lecherous, she was the biggest super giant hero out there, the little blonde lady with gigantic, her legs are such bodybuilder legs. I guarantee you her upper leg is bigger than my whole upper body. She takes her fitness seriously. What she was doing where she kept bending down and bending down is number one, not only holding him up, but number two, trying to help him get his shoes back on. Or shoe singular. The other one was still laying behind him on the stage. Wow. We went off on that tangent a long way. That's all right. Did I cover the stuff I wanted to cover today? I don't know. Let's go back and ask it. And try not to get in a... Yes, I covered something George said today, hypothetically. And someone I call BH said yesterday. Again and again and again. You're bad guys who are going to mince their words. I said it loud and proud for about an hour. Here's the refinement. I was able to refine it to myself. Because bad guys do all the jobs. Good guys can just effing starve. That's bad guy's attitude. And I don't give a damn what many words you throw after it. You're selfish, disgusting, shite. Puke. And it makes me very foul. You see, I put it in my checklist. Elvis says, wise men say. And I say, no, pelvis. That's what I call him. Wise or good men do not exist. I've been saying since I was a very small person. There is that phrase, evil prospers where good men fail to act. Strike out, act. Exist. It came to seriousness in the 1970s, before I was 10 year old. I had lost my faith in humanity. I know, There's an occasional. Doesn't run roughshod over you in their quest for some silly, selfish thing. Might actually try to be helpful and be helpful. But it's hard not to note it. That's not one in a million. That's one in tens of millions. I grew up in a very large city. And I hope everybody, it's the blessing and the curse, the yin and the yang, the good, the bad, and the ugly. I don't wish everybody had had their eyeballs starkly open like I did. We'd all be miserable fools like me. Are you not entertained? Is there no one else? Lines from the big movies, Troy and Gladiator. The winner takes it all. Trying to clear that up. The idea I was having earlier today when I made this checklist. It was not the good guys in the story of David and Goliath, but Davy, not the 70s claymation or 60s, 70s, whatever it was. That's my favorite. The real story, which when I first ever got eyeballs on a Bible, when I was about 8 years old, I was amazed by that tale. Maybe 9 years old. I don't know. Probably 8. David versus Goliath. The winner takes it all. Goliath made the offer, or Goliath, ruler king, that instead of all you, let's just say millions, I don't care, tens of thousands, however many soldiers were involved in soldiery and armies back then. And it's a very well written tale in the Bible, in English and Hebrew. You should all go read it. It's a great war story. Goliath and his ruler king, whatever, said instead of tens of thousands of us playing north-south games and butchering each other and shooting each other with cannons and stabbing each other with arrows, you send your best and we'll send our Goliath, and the winner takes it all. And no one else is going to get hurt. Individually and collectively, all, I think it was Saul, who was the king. See, if my wife was home, I'd just ask her. I wouldn't ask Google Bar. At the time of David and Goliath. King Saul. I was right. Haha, I got one right. Hang on, chat interrupting. I think you were talking about Katie. Your auntie used to call him Pelvis. Wrestle. Probably from Mad Magazine. If not the exact words, the attitude to rename people. And those songs were about idiots who fall in love rather than being wise. To look at the whole critter before getting stuck with a skank. My interpretation, yeah. That's one of those, don't worry about the overarching theme or tale. Just take those few words, mush them all together. But David and Goliath. In the ancient days, we covered David and Goliath. Uh-oh, it put an X in the chat. Don't put my X in the chat. Put it over here. It was Goliath who said, but Davy. Mark 02, 35. Uh-oh. Goliath. Winner takes it all, and thousands need not suffer. It's a mighty big offer to make to a bunch of cowards. It's a really good story. Everybody should go read it. Read about how the entire army of Saul's cowered in fear and terror, individually and collectively, because none of them, not one, never mind the entire rest of that whole army out there, was they going to go out there anywhere near a battlefield that involved Goliath. They'd heard all the legends and the stories. He was an atomic bomb. In Troy, Brad Pitt, he fine. All of them. Eric Bana, Saffron Burrows. Everybody's so beautiful in the movie Troy. But Brad Pitt as Achilles yells and yells and yells to get Hector, Eric Bana's character, to come out and face him 1-to-1, man to man. So all the rest of us, I was thinking about earlier that whole thing, and I've mentioned twice in both sections of, it's a shame that it's a yin and a yang. It's a really nice song. It has good lyrics. It does talk, it's more that lovey-dovey stuff, all the popular music is. But I can tie it to all these things that which of us wouldn't rather not have to have an army and watch. I don't care. He stepped down. He retired. He resigned. Trump, Donald J. and Harris, Kamala. Just get in the ring. Whoever knocks the other one out or chokes the other one out, whatever it takes. And that's how you become president in the United States. And all these wars and stupidity, we're supposed to be careful what we say. For what you did to all them women, you better be glad that all you got on the other side of that fence is Israel. That poor girl in the back of the pickup truck with her feet next to her freaking head. X's over her eyes. You are neither hot nor cold. I will spit you out my mouth. Vomit you out my mouth. The wise men into what was I trying to say here? I had got myself in a hurry. Oh, yeah, I was just getting, not because of intelligent design or intelligence or sophistication, meaning, because that's what we have always, with wings, done. It goes back to why I thought, well, go see Troy. Go listen to the story of David. Whether you believe it or not, it's a thousands of year old tale that made its way. Whether you believe in it faithfully or just, wow, how old is that piece of fiction story about a 15-year-less-year-old boy and his pebbles and the warrior of warriors. You know, is a lot older than the rest of us, and especially America. So older than our whole country and the empire that birthed our country. That's how long us people mm, suffer it. You know, even if we get to, in modern day America, we elevate our own guy and then blame him later because he didn't meet our expectations. Because, like I over explained and overdid, us down here at the bottom, it was under politics. It's in here, it's the theme. We'll all just go at each other, especially if we have to be responsible for ourselves. Well, then we're just going to go out and treat 10 other people like bad and make it their fault. At every level, if there is a they, an elitists, a ruling class, a caste, they're untouchable. We got a bunch of number 8 in our hearts. And instead of saying, I need to get down on my heart, and go cut the grass with scissors or chop down the tree with an axe and cut it up and pile it up at the curb or whatever you got to do to get it, sweat it out, get it out of your system. No, we're going to go knock somebody down, steal some little old lady's purse, do whatever. That's how we do. Not because we're American, because we're people. And no, you don't get to blame your parents and your grandparents. And you don't get to blame the color of your skin. Every one of you has to accept responsibility for yourself. Of many stupid a-holes, one giant stupid a-hole. I know, that's not how the song was taught to the rest of you. It's taught, well, it's no skin off my teeth or my back, and it's the blah blah blah. Yeah, so that covers all of that basic madness. Again, we will talk about it again. How do I know? Because people. I am what I am, and that's all what I am. Many chats. Oh. Oh, 2, 4, 23, 20. Let me see if I can get back to the other one. Did I get the checklist checked? Got a new checkbox item. No. New checkbox item. No, not getting to that. I put that in there to be funny. Because it sure ain't happening now. In many of the movies that I have mentioned, that I heart so much. Lisa Gerrard. You could say sings. Maybe she bullet listed it. I didn't mean to say bullet listed. I was reading, thinking, and speaking all at the same time, and it all got jumbled up. Begin again. Take 2. Clack. Lisa Gerrard either sings or vocalizes, however you want to call it. what is called an idioglossia. It's a made-up language that they might know what it means, and I had put about it on the other social media long gone now. That it's not just twins. Twins do this often. Make up their own what they call a twin language. And I meant to log in one day and answer this question for them. One of them, I don't know, I was listening while going to sleep. I didn't watch the final episode of EFAP's War Arc. Every EFAP means every frame of pause, and they deal mostly with movies or related media, like somebody puts out a movie critique or review that they disagree with. So they'll get together and react content to that video. And they do pause often. Not every frame. Go back and watch my original first ever live called Prefap. Anyway, in the last one of the war arc, it was Gladiator. I don't know if they've covered it or not. I don't imagine it would be in the war arc if they had done Man on Fire. We'll find out in a minute. We'll do some internet searching. Because she did the sing-songy in Man on Fire as well. My older brother had invented his own language when we were small children, and he knew exactly what he was saying and meaning and tried to teach it to me and other smaller than him kids around, and we tried. I remember some of the phonetics and the sound effects and all this, but I don't remember what it meant. But so one of the guys asked, what is that called when somebody makes up phonetics or languages like that? And I said, ooh, idioglossia. I know. Ooh, ooh, ooh. But I wasn't logged in at the time and I was trying to be asleep. So I thought, well, we'll go back over to that one. Yep. We'll pull it up and not let it play. Because thankfully they are monetized and available for monetization. Go to the YouTube home. First, refresh that page. Where are we at? One watching. I'm calling out loudly with my mind. Somebody who loves EFAP, fanboy style like me. Come listen to this. It's about them. See, there they are on my screen right there. EFAP, War Arc. They don't have a playlist in order. I'm going to see if I can make one. I was going to do it on stream, but then things kept piling up, and I had to get back into, if we want down here at the peasant level, hold ourselves up to any honor and integrity, then just shut up about everybody at the Mile High Club not holding themselves to any. It's the same thing. They're just smarter than the rest of us because they eat each other for millions and billions of dollars. Well, we're down here doing it for shekels. Who's the smart ones? They do their movies. They review movies. Any that they included in their war arc has the title War Arc in it. Oh, there was no playlist earlier. I don't have to make a playlist. Thank you. Who is this? By Black Star Bear. Copy. This has been years in the making. Let me say, EFAP War Art. Yay! Black Star Bear Hearts. Made a playlist because when I went earlier today, I could not find a playlist. So I was going to on stream. It's back up there on my checklist. 4-ish years in the making, about 3.5. The war arc is finished. So I build a playlist. I tried to find with lots of search results. Click next page, next page, next page. Just get an X in it so I don't have to scroll back up here. Idioglossia, Lisa Gerrard. Finally, at long last, the other day, where is it? The last one was Gladiator. Oh, it's not in the playlist. Is Gladiator really not in here? Well, I don't care. You can go see most of it in the playlist. I'm sure they'll update it later. But Gladiator. See? My little red bar from YouTube says I have seen the whole thing. Comes to a climactic gladiatorial end. And I should know better. I should remember all these main player names. Not a sponsor, not an advertiser of me. Obviously, YouTube and EFAP for today. EFAP. I already put a thumb on it. I needed to get past the ad. How do I make it go past the ad? Somebody tell me. Maybe it's the Sargon guy. Either somebody named Sargon or the other guy named Shad, Shad, or Shadiversity, I've discussed on previous streams, said Lisa Gerrard herself is their neighbor. And I got all puppy footed. I said in my notes. I said, oh my gosh. Shatter, the other guy, lives near Lisa Gerrard. I love you, Leesee Bear. As opposed to Creasy Bear. Leesee instead of Lisa. I don't know what she looks like. I know she did the music and the sing-songy in a lot of movies that I really like the movies and her particular idioglossia vocalisms. The voice is an instrument. If there is language to it, she has not released translations. She said there are translations. She knows what she's saying. So I thought, somebody tell probably that. I don't know who it is. I'm going to be honest with them. Because you see, if you scroll this down, no one heard. I hear things. Somebody asked. Somebody asked in this EFAP what it is called, the language that Lisa Gerrard uses/invented. IDIOGLOSSIA. Now, smart guy, make sure you spelled that correctly. Idioglossia is a private language or way of communicating that develops among a small group of people, often family members or close friends. It can involve invented words, altered syntax, or a combination of existing languages. So, ha ha ha, all of you who read my writings or have to listen to my have happened across, and I hearty heart you for listening to my lunatic rantings in these things. It is my own idioglossia. Most commonly observed in twins, but can also occur between other siblings or singletons. Who you calling a singleton? So let's say Q to EFAP. Somebody asked in this EFAP, Lisa Gerrard uses slash invented. The answer is idioglossia. And then I will say, somebody in this EFAP stated they are nearby or neighbors with Ms. Gerrard. Lisa, Australian. Wow. It's the first time I have ever seen the face of Lisa Gerrard. And she's Australian and 63 years young. Check her out. No. Go back here. Go back there. Number one. I just this second discovered by asking Googlebot that Ms. Gerrard is Australian. No. To verify the spelling of her name. Thank you guys for all sitting with me, bearing with me, watching me work, harassing other people's online things. Is she related to Frankie? Ha ha ha. Number two, copy paste from my right now ongoing live stream. Notes slash checklist slash script. Go back to notes. Right click it. Copy it. Paste it. Put a couple lines and put postscript. I apologize, Sargon. The other guy is you, but I was brain frozen this afternoon. Comment, contribute, build up the algorithms, make goofy fanboy statements, like other people's stuff, champed up, edit is so good, bravo, boom, yep, it is very good at it. Boom. I would like to put forward the next art be the parody art. We need Robin Hood Men in Tights, Spaceballs, Starving Games, Vampires Suck, Blazing Saddles, and so many more. Absolutely. Sounds good. I'll go back later, not on my stream. And please reward people for their efforts of typing stuff. It doesn't hurt. If you read it, thumb it. What we do in EFAP echoes in eternity. That's a line from the movie. Well, I don't think this is going to get me fired. Showing the McAfee screens, antivirus, system security. Rolling, mate. All right. We took care of that. Checkbox. Checkbox. Oh, no, not here. It's in the notes. See notes, part 2. Might still have to do my own playlist. Yesterday's stream, 9 minutes in. Me and George already discussed this before you got on, Elizabeth, about it when it was a loop of all my additional later rantery about he asked yesterday. Investigate, aka castigate, tar and feather, spank, lawfare, witch try, Alvin Bragg. And I made lots of jokes about how. Do we have to call him Alvin Liberty now? Because of the renaming forced of Fort Bragg here in Fayetteville, North Carolina. And yesterday, George said, yes, we should. And yesterday I said no, but we were just giving unisyllabic, one syllable answers yesterday. Today we talked about it more in detail. George still leans towards yes. I lean towards no. And we discussed it in part 1. In some pretty good depth. Just so you know, Elizabeth, my idea is that no, that's more of the powers. If there are powers that be, if you're religious, then you simply believe that it is El Diablo and all the evil spirits, the anti-spirits, the anti-goods, that sit around laughing when the mere mortal humans attack and destroy and eat out each other's substance. No, if you need to fix the system, fix the system. He is just another working bum. I'm just doing my job, like every other Gestapo that went to trial at Nuremberg. It ain't me, man. I'm just trying to make a living. And I think my missus is home. So I think we'll call it there. We reviewed a little bit. 03, 04. Nope, let's just say 0305. End of line. Because that is what the MCP, the Master Control Program, said whenever it was finished done talking in the movie Tron. No link. Luckily, I am not religious. I just believe we all have a right to tell the bad guys to stop being bad guys. Yep. That's kind of the conversation I was having this morning. Good night. And good night to you, madame. Tomorrow, hopefully, maybe, we'll see. And hopefully, maybe tomorrow, Windows won't disable my networking midstream. Alright, let's do the thing. Sign off on TV as if you can see my fingers. Off the air in 5, 4, 3,